You know when you meet someone and you very quickly realize you pretty much share a brain, you're always on the same page and essentially speak the same language, maybe just in a different font?
I'm Stephanie, and that was Holly, and we are those girlies. After sharing an experience in corporate America, and maybe some trauma bonding along the way, we really just want to yammer about the stuff that matters to us. Join us as we discuss navigating self-love and growth, marriage, sobriety, and the hamster wheels that are our brains. And welcome to Same Language, Different Font. Oh, hi! It is not just the two of us. As you can all very clearly see if you're watching us on your video feed, and if not, it is my honest pleasure, and we are so excited to announce we have our first guest with us today, Holly's mom. Holly's mama bear is joining us today.
Right. She is here with us today to record episode 7, I think we're at this point, which is crazy.
That is wild.
We are hoping to do a guest each season, and like Steph said, I'm so excited and a little wary. No, I can't. We've talked about this and gone back and forth of we couldn't think of anyone better to have as our first guest. And just thank you so much. I need everybody to know that Ma does not live close. She traveled to be here specifically to record this episode with us for you guys. And just thank you for being here.
Welcome. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I know it is. Also, for everybody who might not be watching, Ma actually received our first piece of merch. This was before I even got the coffee cup and notebook from you, yeah. I think. Ma got she got a signed Just Do It hat. So her and Steph are wearing the Just Do It hats, and Steph, yours looks a little bit
mine's a little bit cleaner, can't lie. So it's something that I've been meaning to mention and just slipped my mind. My father-in-law, so Ma on Hall's side is AKA our biggest fan on Hall's side.
Sure
and honestly, I feel a part of that now, of course. But from my side, my father-in-law has just really embraced the entire idea that is SLDF, has really encouraged me to, be vulnerable and do the scary thing. And so he noticed the Just Do It hat and listened to the episode where I explained what it was all about. And he brought me my second Just Do It hat. So my first one is very worn and very well loved. It does my workouts with me, it does my yard work with me, it does all of the things. So it's a little loved. This one is fresh, and this will be just the recording SLDF, a Just Do It hat. So
Steph has two. I only have one yet.
This has been going to middle school baseball games.
Yes.
We've been rocking the Just Do It hat.
Rocking the hat at my grandson's baseball games.
I love it. It's just, it's such a subtle, such a small, subtle little thing,
So I don't have a Just Do It hat, and so I am wearing a Same Language, Different Font pullover. Mine was dirty, so I'm wearing Stephanie because I haven't had a chance to go to her.
Listen, in the club, we all fam.
Really
That's it. But it really just, aside from all of the excitement, of course, the nerves and everything else kind of creeping in. I mean, it's new. Ma, you're our guinea pig. Sorry, you're the first one. So we're gonna learn as we go here and have a little bit of fun with it. But really, I mean, just like Holly was kind of mentioning, we're very excited about all of the guests that we might have on the pod, because the testimony of others is a huge part of this community and something that we have actively been trying to build and grow. It slowly keeps trickling in, just the different feedback and little bits of insight, but really kind of want to do a little bit of a deeper dive and really kind of get some of like the true like meat and potatoes out of our most favorite listeners. Just really, because I just know Holly and I have mentioned it, the things that we talk about are without question things that other people may be going through, and knowing that you just have more experience. You have more experience than us. You have more life lived than we do. And so your, what I call filing cabinet is much fuller than ours is. Like, it just is. So I'm thrilled and excited and just very thankful that you're going to take a moment to be vulnerable with us. You guys never have to give us more than you're willing to give, but we are open to all of it anyway, because Holly and I truly believe like this is the good stuff, the stuff that can really make like a lasting change. And of course we'll have fun while we're doing it.
Like Steph said, it's just all about perspectives and experiences, and there's only so much that Steph and I can talk on. Yes, we do have a lot of different things that come up and a lot of content ready and prepared for you guys over the next couple of seasons, but this really speaks to the name of the pod. Same language, different font. Of course, we have the same language. I am pretty sure I inherited this mindset from you. And
sorry,
honestly, real. No, but really, we are hoping to have a bunch of different guests on here that have this similar mindset, no matter what they have gone through. We all end up in that same moral compass that Steph and I talked about in episode 1, regardless of how we got there. And I think, honestly, a lot of it is going through some of the hard stuff before you recognize, like, we need to focus on the good. You know, like, it's a lot of it is you have to go through those valleys. I think that we've talked about that a lot this year, is the valleys.
What do I tell you? 362 times, 462 times it says in the Bible it came to pass.
Yeah.
It didn't come to stay. It came, you passed through the valley, come out of the other end better.
And I do just want to say this, we did get some feedback from some of the other episodes about Big Man and our relationships with Big Man. But the feedback that I got is, if you are new to the pod, Big Man is God.
Yes. God.
Jesus, you know, our Lord and Savior. I refer to him as Big Man just because that's the relationship that I have with him. But if we refer to him, I'm sure we will throughout this episode. I just wanted the new listeners, first off, welcome, but to recognize that that's who we are referring to. So there's no
confusion on that.
Thank you. I'm going to just kickstart with one of my questions for Ma. And if you want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit to the listeners and just to kind of explain a little bit of who you are and your background, and we'll go from there. We have plenty of questions for you, so don't worry.
Yeah, I'm Mom. I'm Holly's mom. I am one of those that they refer to in the 60s group. And they talked in the earlier episode about those in the 60s group.
Cases really weren't hated.
That's okay. I have 3 grown children, wonderful children. I have 2 wonderful grandchildren. I am a widow. I have been widowed twice. Born and raised in the church. I will touch on it briefly because this isn't necessarily a podcast about religion or Christianity, but because it's so much a part of all our lives, it's going to trickle in. And hopefully by our words and our examples, that's how we share our belief and our faith. And we have to live in this world, but we're not of this world. And so we're not people that are going to beat you over the head with your own Bible. That's not what God and love is all about.
Amen.
But it's all about love and kindness and treating others right and treating yourself right. That was very hard for me to learn growing up, is we just didn't think about it. I know the last episode you talked about, did that generation consciously weigh these different things out? And I personally did not. Now, I'm not highly educated. I have some college. I'm a normal mom, a normal daughter, a normal sister, a friend. I wear all the hats. But so I'm not saying that I have all the answers, because I have very few answers. But we all need tweaks and we all need adjustments. And there's so many of us out there that used to consider ourselves average. We're just an average woman, had a normal upbringing. We really weren't dysfunctional. We just had this normal
Sorry, I think normal and dysfunctional are subjective.
Well, they are. But I mean, no abuse.
Right.
There was no alcohol. There was no gambling. There was no cheating. It was just this family that worked very hard to maintain and showed each other love. And we just were there. You didn't think about a lot of things. You just did what needed to be done when it needed to be done. And it wasn't until later in life that I think a lot of the newfangled conversations started. They need to be started. And we need to think about these younger, these subjects that you girlies have gotten into.
You were mentioning you just kind of did what needed to be done.
Yeah.
But the intention wasn't there. The why behind it was just you kind of just did it. You didn't question it. You didn't think about.
Yeah. You work hard. You provide for your children. I was a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I now have boundaries. I now have non-negotiables.
Yeah.
I wish I had had them earlier. I would have missed a lot of things. But I was raised in a bubble. I was going
to say that because it's just one thing that, and Holly and I have talked about it. It is at some point, and it's the technology that when the technology came in, you didn't know what was going on in all of these different places in an instant. You may know after you get done with a work day and you get on the phone with somebody or something like that, but it wasn't, you're in the middle of your work day and you're getting updates about things going on and just the constant instant connection. That's what I was thinking of while you were mentioning that, you just kind of, it was a bubble, like you said.
I mean, literally, I feel like I was raised in a bubble because there wasn't any controversy. There wasn't major difficulties. I'm still very naive about a lot of things, and I'll readily admit that. And I think it protected me from a lot. And growing up, and that's fine. My brother used to call me Miss Goody Goody, and I thought,
there are definitely worse things to be called, right?
But I mean, my parents showed me a good work ethic. I knew they loved each other. They weren't real demonstrative.
Yeah, and affectionate. Yeah.
I
because I remember that from my childhood as well.
What we did, we were taught by their example to be kind and to be helpful, and they were servants, and once they attended church, my grandmother took me to church as a bed baby. And my parents would come to see me in little shows and little productions the church would have. And that's what led them to the church and to let them to big man relationship wise. And so that's what led Grandpa and Grandma to big man was Graham's prayers and that she would take me to church.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Also, I need you to know that Grandma has now read the Bible through start to finish more than once.
Yeah, she's a praying woman. I tell you what, she's a walking miracle.
The matriarchs of the family, the praying matriarchs of the family will save the family. I mean, I've heard that time and time again.
She's also not afraid to call you a little cuss. So
that's true too.
Listen, I've got one tattooed right here, okay? And she was the first one. She was the first one to look you in your face and tell you that she loved you and you were the best thing that ever happened to her. But she was also the first one to set you straight. Get your elbows off the Lord's table. Oh, I still hear it in the back of my brain. I'll put my like this on the dining room table and I hear her. You get your elbows off the Lord's table, not my table, not your grandfather's table, the Lord's table. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But it's really, they live it, walk it. That is it, And Ma, you sound very similar. It seems like Big Man is a very, very big part of your life. It sounds like he was instilled in you from a very young age, being a part of the church, and then your parents became a part of the church. Have you ever turned away? Has he always been, the
church?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that I got away from the Lord, but I wasn't attending church. He wasn't central in my life. But the way that I was raised, it was very legalistic and very works oriented. You have to read your Bible every day. You have to do this. You have to do that.
It wasn't a relationship.
It wasn't until you were born,
You're welcome.
actually. And I was working part-time helping my husband. We had our own business, and I was helping him. And I realized that I wanted a relationship with God. I didn't want to be religious.
That part.
And it's so different.
Yes.
And I started attending a church, and I sat there and felt like this man is reading my mail, listening to my phone call. He knows exactly what's going on in my life. And he didn't preach at me. He talked and talked to us. And I never left.
Well, it's that experience too of like you just went somewhere and you were like, they were talking directly to
100%.
Like,
yeah. I mean, My brother actually just went and he was baptized about a week and a half ago now. Yes, it was beautiful. It really, really was. But it was also the first time that I had stepped in a church since my grandfather passed away in 2021. So I wish that the church wasn't so far from me. It is quite a hike. My brother lives quite a bit away from me, but it was one of those moments where it was a smaller service because it was a Thursday night, but I may be exaggerating and I may have just really been dialed in being in his house. But I felt like that pastor was looking at me into my soul and talking to me. And I just felt after I left, like it was the most beautiful feeling I've ever felt in my life. Like, well, not in my life. I can't.
To feel like you're being seen.
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly right.
I have never felt that before. It wasn't being seen by the pastor or anybody there, but it was, the pastor was in touch with God enough that he really allowed God to speak through him.
Yes.
He listened. And I felt like I'd been let out of a cave. I was so excited about things that I had known all my life, but hadn't been able to personalize them.
Yeah.
I mean, that is how simple it can be. It can be as simple as that. But it doesn't sound like you've had it super simple, Ma, not gonna lie. I mean, in your introduction, you let us know you've been widowed twice. Like I can't even begin to fathom what that would be like going through it once, let alone 2 times. So I think the main question that I really had, and really I have to know how you define resilience and like what has kept you being resilient. And I feel obviously a lot of that answer is big man, but outside of that, how do you think you've navigated just life and life happening in that way?
So I just want to real quick mention that big man is very much in this episode too, because Mom said yesterday, 2 days ago, that her word of the year is resilient. And now here we are with this question.
I was just going to say that she's picked my word of the year. And I mean, there's been some dark times, and sometimes don't even realize you're in a dark time because you're just trying to keep your nose above water and just trying to maintain and keep going and surviving. And just as an example, when you get ready in the morning, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you look at yourself in the mirror, you comb your hair, and you're gone. Pretty much. You do what you need to do. I don't know how many years went by, and it wasn't until after the passing of my second husband. I was living with my son at the time, and I got out of the shower, and he has this full mirror, and I'm like, who the heck is that? I saw myself for the first time in years. And it was like, where did this come from? Where did that come from? It was a shock that I had been that oblivious to myself.
We were on autopilot.
For being on autopilot for, I don't know how many years. I couldn't even tell you how many years. And so hopefully you young girlies can stay more in tune with yourself. My big word of my entire life is balance. Because you've got to stay balanced in your life, in your finances, in your relationships, in your walk with God. Stay respectful to those that are around you. But I rabbit trailed away from your resilient question.
No.
We always
100%.
Just connect with yourself sooner, younger. Your physicality, your mental state. Keep yourself balanced as much as possible. Have your boundaries. I didn't understand boundaries. I didn't understand non-negotiables as a young adult and an older adult. I think the only thing I ever said to my second husband was, don't ever say I forbid you.
Ooh,
And
that's a good one.
say I forbid you.
I feel like in a marriage you become one, obviously, with your counterpart. That I feel like, you know, you're taking two lives and you're turning them into one. But that boundary, you know, of, yes, I am your wife, but I am still an individual, and that's going to be a no from me. We're going to have to find a different way to navigate that one, because no, I can feel that if somebody ever tried to, I forbid you, I'd be like, that's going to make me want to do it even more now.
Having those boundaries in your marriage too is extremely beneficial. Like, it's almost just like setting those lines with them, you know, setting those having that communication with them of, I know that I'm married to you, but this is the type of marriage that I will not have, and the one that we need to strive for. And just, I think if you have that communication.
See, I didn't know any of that when I got married either time. To be frank, I knew I loved them and wanted to be with them. I did not understand the concept of partnership. I really didn't. And being a people pleaser on top of that, I'd see television shows or I'd see other relationships about these women that would butt heads with their husband or be hard to get along with or whatever. And I'd be like, why are you doing that? It's just so easy to just keep the peace.
Right.
Well, yeah, guess who you lose when you keep the peace 24/7? You know, and I would end up going backwards with myself and lost myself quite early. Didn't realize I had lost myself because this was all I knew, is you're on autopilot. You keep the peace. You raise the children, you work hard, you got to get the bills paid. Hopefully you get a vacation. But yeah, set boundaries for yourself, set boundaries for your job, your marriage, your relationship. Realistic boundaries.
Right.
Compromise is a big word too.
Yes, it is.
It's not all you. It's not all him. But hopefully your partner is mature enough to reciprocate that.
Yeah.
And because when you get married, you're not going to change them. You're not going to change, probably. You know, it's not necessarily a learned thing. You can, and you can grow and you can mature.
Yeah.
But I feel like now in my 60s, I'm just now maturing to some extent, but to the point that I'm understanding myself and my need for growth and my need for change to move forward and be happy. I'm the one responsible for my own happiness.
Right.
And because of choices I refused to make in the past, I was very unhappy for a very long time. And depressed about it and pouty about it. And well, if I sit here and pout long enough, somebody will want to come make me feel better. No. You heal yourself. You work on yourself. And then you attract those to who, you know, what you are. Surround yourself with people like you want to be.
Yes.
And positive people and successful people.
Set those boundaries with those that aren't. And we've talked about that. There's so many things you just mentioned that we talked about. Like Steph mentioned in one episode, no one, aside from Big Man, is going to save you.
Right.
You have to
save yourself.
Save yourself. You have to, and I don't think it was necessarily like, yes, you were on autopilot to a point, but I think we talked about just because these conversations hadn't really been brought up at that point, it was just normal to prioritize everyone else's peace and happiness. If they're happy, if your kids are happy, if your husband's happy, if you're doing X, Y, Z, then you should in turn
be happy.
But that's not how it goes. That's not realistic. It's you have to set those boundaries no matter how uncomfortable. And you touched on in marriage, people aren't going to change, and I don't want to say I disagree with that to a point, but like there is, and when you said grow, that's where I was like, okay,
they grow and mature.
But
you can't go in saying, well, I'm going to fix this.
No, fixing them
Yeah.
by any means.
As
But
far
I
as
think
change.
there was something that I saw a while ago where it's like, I don't believe in soulmates. I don't. I think you grow into soulmates. You, over years of communication and going through the trials together and learning each other and continuing to be intentional with each other. And I think that's where that change kind of comes in, is if you are able to hear what the other person is saying and stay intentional with trying to be there for them and grow with them and support them in what they need, that's where you become soulmates.
Yeah, no, I can agree to that. I think sometimes there's an attraction to someone that is just a natural thing. And maybe both of y'all have progressed farther along that path than maybe someone else you might have met. So I think you can start out farther along the road as a soulmate. And that's where people get the soulmate. I knew that I knew. Well, it's not that they're not going to have conflict and they're not going to have misunderstandings and all of that. They're going to have valleys.
Yeah.
100%.
Valleys. But hopefully, if you both are willing to put in the work and put in the time, and like you said in the last episode, Stephanie, it was when my husband and I got together, we made boundaries. We are going to respect each other. We are not going to talk to each other like this. I mean, I never had any of that with my husband, but we just didn't communicate on the same wavelength for a lot of it. My second husband was considerably older than I was. So there was a generational thing there, almost 20 years.
Right.
I mean, he was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man, wonderful father. He was awesome, awesome father to these babies. But he just didn't, because of his generation, was even farther than mine, didn't understand the need for growing or moving forward. He would tell me I love you all the time, but his ways of showing it were his ways and not necessarily what I was looking for or needing. And we just didn't communicate well enough to
navigate.
I like that. Yeah. And again, that's why the men also at an early age have got to learn about themselves and what their needs are and what they're willing to compromise. And when they get in a relationship, be very open about this. And this is the way I want to raise my children in my relationship with God and our finances. And yes, you need that chemistry to click.
You do.
But you also don't need to put up barriers before you even get started if there are some non-negotiables that you can't
see past.
You're not going to be able to get over.
Right.
You know, just
have those big conversations. Em and I had them, I think we had only known each other for 3 weeks, and we had some of the bigger, this is something that is my values and my non-negotiables. What are yours? You know, like if they differ, that's absolutely fine. However, let's figure out where we're at on these early on.
Like, don't let it be a surprise. Because if it's a surprise in the moment, like that's just gonna like fuel that fire whoosh. Like you know?
Yeah. Well, there's a reality show on now that I watch.
Mom loves reality shows.
Me too.
Some reality shows. And they don't see each other. They just have conversation.
Are you talking about Love is Blind?
I don't know if I could say that. So yes, I watch Love is Blind. Because, well, I love to love people and there's some I love to hate. But anyway, that's another story. They have these conversations ahead of time to where looks and whatever doesn't, the idea of it is, yes, amazing. If they can be their true authentic selves. And that's just it.
That's also hard too, because it's hard to not just say things of like how you want to be or who you want to be, but you're not there yet, but you're putting off that.
You can do that in dating in real life.
Well, no, that's what I mean. It's just, it's hard to, this is who I am right now, good, bad, ugly, and works in progress.
Yeah.
And just being honest, not just to yourself about it, but to whoever you're trying to impress.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's incredibly difficult. And I mean, it just, the authenticity of it is, you know, because I feel like we all have like core things, you know, but I feel like it's also something that can change. And it really just, I don't know. It's difficult. I feel like when I completely agree with you, Halls, on there are no soulmates, you know, but I also agree with Ma in the sense that there is something like the core of me is recognizing something in the core of you, and that
Yes.
it like that's that
Yes.
instant connection. And I feel like as much as I love and I mean I think it can happen in like a Love is Blind type experience as well if you're being that you
Authentic.
have to be,
Genuine.
and it can be.
But no, I agree that there are things that like you immediately recognize of this is my person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Or this
before-
could be my person.
Yeah.
When Em and I started dating, I kept a journal because, I mean, you knew, I didn't date. And so it was kind of it was a big deal for me of
Mm-hmm.
kind of navigating through all of that and the excitement of it. And I legitimately I met him in June, and in August, I have written down, this is who I'm going to marry.
Mhm.
Like, I knew there was something there, and Emma's going to listen to this, maybe, and be like,
Just so you know, Em, I helped pick you out on Hinge.
yeah, you guys don't know that yet. Emma and I met on Hinge, and that was very much out of my comfort zone as well.
Very much mine also.
But that was I think a big part of it was because he had listed on his profile his values. He wasn't ashamed of them. He wasn't trying to hide them or make them into something bigger or less honest than what they really were. And there was something there that you know pretty quickly.
So I have to do a little bit of a transition, just mom to mom, and pick your brain. How did you do it? You had, you have 3. I heard you say you have 3 of yours, but you also have bonus babies too.
You guys both have
yours, mine, and yours. My husband had 4.
Mm-hmm.
My son was from my first marriage, and then we have the 2 girls together.
Right.
Now, my husband's children were pretty much, for the most part, grown.
That's right.
So I don't have the raising or the helping, being a bonus mom.
Right.
For that.
Right.
But I tried really hard to be a friend.
Yeah.
And to be a sounding board.
Right.
And the younger 2, they lived with us for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
His youngest from his first marriage. But yeah, just to be a friend and to, again, get along, make it work. They adored my son.
Yeah.
And adored the girls when they came along. Right. And to this day, the older sisters are there. Mm-hmm. And my son is there for these girls. Right. And again, back to your question, how did I do it? Prayer was a lot. Yeah. Okay, I'm praying for their future spouse over and over and over and over. I'm praying for favor in school. Mm-hmm. And they were fill in the blank prayers to where I didn't have to think about it. But yet I agreed with how it was written and agreed with what it said. And I'd fill in the blank with whichever child I felt needed this the most. Mm-hmm. I'm big on personalities. We did a big study of personalities, and mine would flip-flop from work to home.
That's interesting, though, because we had already talked about that you were a people pleaser, and I think I inherited that as well, as being a people pleaser. And I think being a people pleaser also means that you're a chameleon of
you can wear a lot of masks.
What others need.
Right.
And that's something that I think has made it a little bit challenging for me to really realize, I don't want to say who I am, because I know who I am, but being able to remain that consistently instead of...
But there's a good and a bad in that.
Yeah.
The bad is you can lose yourself and you can almost feel fake sometimes or people-pleasing. But as a good leader, you've got to understand each individual person on your team or in your family and relate to where they can hear you. They can understand you.
Yeah, it's changing your communication methods, not who you are. That's what you would
that's better. That's better. I like that.
We had talked about like making yourself smaller and putting it into bite-sized pieces and more digestible. And that's where I feel like we need to either you get me or you don't. But being able to communicate it to specific people, I think that's the biggest thing. But
that's mostly is like I said, is a hope and a prayer. And just be present and allow them to vent and to use you as a safe place. Is, as far as I know, all of my children knew they could come to me and tell me the truth, or tell me if they had a problem.
Right.
But I promised to do my best not to lose my cookies, and to be able to listen and to problem solve with them. And I think all of y'all knew that. But you've got to be available for those children. And you've got to, no matter what you want to do, keep your cool and
or respond, don't react.
Respond.
That's the biggest.
Yes. Don't
I
react.
literally just told it started with Miss B, actually. She was dealing with some kids here in the neighborhood, and there was a new little girl introduced to the little squad that runs around. And she was one of those ones, Ma, like you mentioned. I don't know what it is, but there's just I don't like it. I don't like the tone. I don't like the get me, whatever. And Brooklyn, she comes running inside and she's, trying to grab something or something along those lines. Well, so-and-so said that I had to do this. And I stopped right there. And I got down on my knees because I always just try to get face to face with her on her level. So I'm not talking down at her. And I'm like, baby, you blame me. You blame me.
Yeah.
I'm the bad guy. I will fall on that sword every single time for you, girl. And you never, ever, ever have to do something that you feel is wrong, is bringing you out of your character, is something that's making you uncomfortable. And then I told my 14-year-old the same. I'm like, wait a minute. You need to hear this too. Because you're in a situation where it will be way heavier than I want a yoo-hoo or something like that. So blame me, blame dad. We will come get you. It does not matter, period.
And again, with Bub, we'll bring Bub up again. Love you, Bub. My husband was his stepfather, but he was his father. He was his dad.
Yeah.
Growing up.
That's going to be my next question.
And
navigating.
Oh, yes.
Letting someone else.
For the most part, it went very, very, very well. But part of my issue was because he had lost his father, his biological father, to a car accident when he was not quite 2. His first husband passed. That I felt guilty, and I think I overcompensated, wanting to be more of a friend than a parent.
Yeah. And Ma, this is a perfect example of why these conversations need to happen, because I'm still very early in this journey of motherhood, but in the past 3 years or so, I lost Stephanie. I don't know who she was. I couldn't tell you who she was. I was not doing anything to show them I am a human outside of just being the snack person, the laundry person. And for me, it was setting the boundaries of I'm gonna go to the gym every day for an hour. This is something that I'm doing for me. And I know that that's weird because I have told you and showed you time and time again that my entire life is for you. It is. I mean, I only ever really wanted to be a mom, but if I get lost in that, it scared me. It really did. I felt sad in motherhood, and I was like, I'm not supposed to feel this way because it's all I've ever wanted. Why do I feel that? And it was because I wasn't doing anything like Halls has said, and I just love it. I was not pouring into my own cup in any way whatsoever. I was running on an empty cup all the time.
Kel said about the oxygen mask. That was so spot on. And you do have to distance yourself from people that aren't on the same path as you. You can love them. That struck home, past, present, and future for me.
Segueing to my question that I was going to ask you is, what did you think of the first actual guest, Kiki Palmer, her video talking about setting boundaries with people, and it allows them the opportunity to, that they're a good person, but they're not acting like a good person. They're not showing up for themselves. So sometimes you have to be that person to leave them behind.
I 100% agree with her. You become
don't we all agree with Kiki?
You become who I don't even know who that is. I'm sorry, Kiki. I'll have to Google you. But you become who you hang out with.
You do.
I mean, you do. Negative or positive. That's why you find like-minded friends. If you want to be successful in a business, try to hang out with people that are successful, that their mindset should be positive. It may not be the field you're wanting to succeed in, but just the positivity will rub off.
Yeah.
And they may have clues or ideas that will lead you in the direction you need to go for whatever it is you're trying to do.
Help you, guide you to that mindset shift that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Where if I'm starting to feel negative, I reach out to Steph, right?
Accountability.
They help guide you.
You have to have accountability. Floss. I'm glad you're flossing.
100%. Dental hygiene.
It's important.
And just speak positivity. Again, your children, your marriage, your finances, everything.
I saw my notes and I remembered that I wanted to ask this question. And another thing that we haven't mentioned thus far is a valley that you went through. Is you are a breast cancer survivor. I just wanted to touch on your experience, anything that you feel like sharing to those who might have either been battling this for a while or have just found out that they or someone that they know are about to go through this battle.
Like I had said earlier, I really, really believe in the power of prayer. And I have prayed over my family and prayed over myself for years. And I still, when I go to bed at night, thank you for keeping me healthy, wealthy, and wise. And again, for the most part, I have not had anything. So I have battled with kidney stones a little bit now and then. And my doctor did, it's a little bit of a long story, but I'll try to cliff note it. Doctor did an ultrasound on me to check for the kidney stone. Thought he saw something in my lower right breast and wanted me to go have a mammogram done just to get it checked. So I went in to have the mammogram done, and I said to the tech, I said, since I'm here, can we just do Thelma and Louise? Can we just do them both? You know, Thelma and Louise have already fallen off the cliff, but you know how that goes.
I'm sorry.
That's the 60. When you're 60, yeah.
I love her.
And the tech says, I can only do what the order says. And I said, well, I just thought since we're here. And she says, hold on a minute. So she goes back through my records and came across an order that was less than a year old, so it was still active, that I had been supposed to have had a mammogram the year before, and for whatever reason had not. God.
Big man.
And she said, we can do both. And I said, okay. Sweet. So we did both. Louise was perfectly fine. What the doctor had seen was nothing. But Thelma, who we would not have tested.
Known. Wow.
Because of a kidney
stone. Wow.
And which I would rather give birth than have a kidney stone. Just
I have heard.
Everybody
knows.
Yeah, and I have a very high pain tolerance. But yes, I had cancer in Thelma. It was only stage 1. So we caught it very, very early.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Thank the good Lord. And I only had to have radiation. I had radiation twice a day for a week. And Holly came and took care of me. Got way too comfortable with Thelma. My Casey came and stayed for a few days. She was there for the surgery and stayed with my son, and he took care of physical needs other than Thelma, and Holly took care of emotional and mental needs. And the first, when the doctor told me, you know, it's cancer, you freeze.
Oh, of course.
You walk up. Because nobody wants to hear that word. Immediately, I'm not hearing anything he's saying. It's running through my head, but I still want to do this and see that and go here and love on that one. And am I not going to, you think worst case scenario. I'll be honest. You think, oh my gosh. And then I started crying. I can be very emotional.
Hey, me too, Mom. Don't worry. Same.
So I'm living with my son at the time. I go back to the house and he's like, what'd you find out? I'm like, I have cancer. And he's like, okay, it's going to be okay. We're going to figure this out. And he says, have you told the girls yet? And I said, no. He goes, I would suggest you tell them a little different than you just told me.
Let's switch up the approach a little bit. But
he says, I can handle that you just blurted.
Right.
We did, Yeah. And so I told them and told my mom. And again, we went in, had the surgery, had the radiation. I've been cancer-free, what was that, 22, 21? I'm quite a few years out.
Amen, though. Amen.
Yeah, but God orchestrated the steps that need to happen. Again, my cancer was not from God.
Right.
If it's bad, it's not from God. We don't know maybe why he didn't stop it to begin with. I think a lot of the problems, the health issues that we have are from choices we make with the environment we put ourselves in, the food we eat, the things we drink, the air we breathe.
Yeah.
The people we're hanging out with.
You could
God
say, like,
had the step.
The things that we consume that are not of God, maybe, are the things that cause things like that, maybe. Yeah.
Exactly. But he had the steps in place, pre-planned, that we would find it and move forward. And I'm expecting a long and healthy and happy and hopeful and peaceful life.
Amen.
What would you say is a goal that you have for right now?
Just to continue to work on myself. I'm in a stage of life where my desires and dreams are a little bit on hold.
Yeah.
Due to other circumstances. But I think that's kind of on purpose because it's allowing me to continue to grow myself, to be ready for whatever's going to come next. And I know I'm not. I got a book from Holly, the 5 second rule? 5 second rule. COVID kind of messed me up a lot that I living with my son. I was in my bedroom a lot. I didn't go anywhere. And I liked it after a while. It was safe. It was comfortable. The first time that I went out after the COVID big scare was to lunch with a friend, and it was just too much light, too much sound. And the restaurant wasn't even
busy or anything,
right? It just was so much stimulation. And I find myself, if I'm not careful, retreating back to that place. Bedroom myself. So it's to push myself to develop the traits that I want for later. To 5 seconds, get up and do this. I have a stack of books that I so want to study and get through, and I started a garden last year, and I want to know more about that. I want to learn how to can. I'm into all these.
Sorry. I just wasn't expecting that. It's just the way you phrased it, but I was like, I
want to be as self-sufficient as I can. I want to be as self-sufficient as I can. I want to get more into natural remedies and things that are more preventative. All that just really interests me and excites me to learn, but yet it's taking those baby steps to actually open the book. Let's put the book on the nightstand.
Right. Listen to the Atomic Habits that Steph talked about.
Let's actually open the book. To read anything, just open the book. Have future things, but as for right now, it's just a continuing growth on myself, and to be who I need to be for me, but who I need to be for the family that I'm still.
Very much involved.
I mean,
in
you're
our
the
life.
matriarch. Like, you are going to
Yeah.
be that person for all of your people. They're the people that you created, you know, and it's like,
Right.
and
It is. It's not just the children. I'm living with my mom,
yeah,
taking care of my
right.
mom. I had moved away, was gone almost a year, to a place that has seasons. And my brother got diagnosed with stage 4 colon and liver
Oh, wow.
cancer. It's my baby brother. He's 12 years younger than me. And so I just immediately knew I have to be there. I'm have the most flexible schedule at this time. My husband had already passed. My children were grown. They were all moving forward. They all, you know, they needed me as mom, but didn't need me as a child needs a
Right.
mom. And so I moved in with them and helped with my brother. He passed in September of 23. He lived 2 years, 52 years old.
Wow.
And Mama's 88 now.
Wow.
And so I'm here with Mama, and we're navigating life and playing a lot of cards and going out to eat and getting her nails done and loving on her.
Enjoying the simplicity.
Enjoying, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Finding the gratitude in I don't want to say the mundane for that, because those aren't mundane things by any means, but finding the gratitude in those, like, those are pretty normal, regular things for you guys. But
it was very hard at first.
Yeah.
I felt very trapped.
Yeah.
I can't leave. There's no one else to do what needs to be done. But that has so changed. I really am embracing it and enjoying the moments that we have together.
Focusing on it and appreciating it in the moment versus the hindsight of it, because it's not going to always be like this. You're not always going to have these moments. And being able to recognize that now versus I wish back then is, I think, one of the biggest reasons why we're here and why we are yapping to you guys. And you posted something on your own Instagram the other day that was like, the days that I can sit and have a cup of coffee in the morning while it's still warm and it's quiet, that I sit there and sob.
And it just might break my heart.
Empty nest.
Yeah. That's not a season of life that I'm prepared for.
That's why I just can't repeat enough to please, 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 hopefully have conversations.
The conversations that will be had.
Even if it's girlfriends, just learn from this, learn from my mom, learn from my grandma. When you get to the point that you've got a friend for life. And yes, you're their mother, but you're friends, and you can honestly discuss things, and you can have a sounding board with each other. And
it's cool because you
very
raised them.
cool.
Like, you taught them this stuff, and like,
did that, you know.
In therapy, like,
yeah, you're awesome.
Thanks.
Well, ladies, I just I feel like I've said thank you enough times now. I'll just say that I love you both. Like, literally, it really literally makes so much sense to me now. Like, my picture of my co-host has become so much more clear. As you know, Ma, we wrap up all of these episodes with a what are we loving right now? So I don't know if you've brought along a what are we loving right now. So I'll go first to give you a second to think about it. Because mine really just hit me. This was girlhood. This conversation and this time together is the epitome of girlhood to me. It is just, we are stronger together. We are better together. This community is everything. I am loving that this happened today, and that I know that the future is just so, so, so bright, not just for, myself, for Halls, for you, Ma, for the podcast, just in general. It's such a testament to how good things can really, really be. And I'm just so thankful. That's my what are we loving right now.
Mine, I think there's a lot that are like
Oh, I
blowing
can
in
only
my brain right
imagine.
Obviously, I'm thankful that you are here, that, you helped make me who I am, all of the sappy, disgusting things that we won't get into too much, and for sure, just having this conversation and talking about, my relationship and marriage with Em. But the one that I'm going to go ahead and choose is the things that I love that fill my cup and make me me. Those are the things that I'm really, really thankful for, the things that help me be me and bring me joy. This podcast, reading, finding joy in running, just those passions that you're excited to work on and work towards that aren't a chore. That just really just identify who you are.
I love it.
I'm very thankful for and loving that I have found some of the confidence in myself that I've been missing for so long. That even probably a year ago, I couldn't have sat here and not really had any nerves. And no, I probably haven't come across as what, I'm not trashing myself, but just how I would have wanted. But I was authentic, and I never have been able to do that before and share my innermost thoughts and feelings and feel seen. So that's what I'm loving, is that I feel seen and validated, that my feelings were my feelings, and that I'm very proud that I'm learning how to grow and get better all the time.
Oh,
That makes sense.
that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff right there. That's exactly it. So nice. So thank you for taking time to speak with us today and
being my sister from another mister.
Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. This is the first time that we've done this, and it definitely won't be the last. So add in all of the comments, questions. If you have any, we can definitely get the answers from Ma if you have some for her. Just thank you for being a part of this. Go ahead, give us a follow, SLDF Pod on Instagram or on Facebook. We're going to be posting all of our resources, what are we loving right now, and quotes from each of these episodes that really stand out. So give us a follow. Let us know what you think. Just thank you again.
Love you, listeners.
There are millions of fonts in the world, and new ones are constantly being developed. If you happen to be one of those millions out there that speak our language and are still developing, just like we are, stick with us.
We want to thank you for spending your time with us today, and we'll talk to you on the next episode of Same Language, Different Font. Love you, listeners.